Face, the podcast about a playlist. My name is Brandon with the Face.
And I'm Jonathan Beardsley.
Welcome everybody to the first edition of Brandon's Face in the 2022. We are recording this episode on the 20th of January, 2022. Jonathan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you?
I am basically amazing. We've got some great content to go through this month, man, and there's been some things talked about in the music world. We've had a few fun lineup drops since we were last on the air.
Yeah, we now know who will headline the biggest festival of the year, and that is
Paramore.
My Chemical Romance and Paramore. So,
oh man,
yeah, I'm expecting the fallout from that to be a lot of new music for us to review, hopefully from a lot of bands on that lineup we haven't heard from in a long time.
Well, I know that Silverstein is doing their album rollout. I don't think they've quite announced it yet, but they've released 2 singles with the same album art, which is indicative to me of, at the very least, an EP. And then I know we have Mom Jeans, which we're going to be talking about a little later today. And I was excited to see them on the lineup. I'm glad they're getting some love from the mid-30s crowd.
Yeah, great booking for them. Silverstein didn't really go away. I'm looking forward to like maybe some Armor for Sleep or Starting Line. Something new from one of them would be pretty interesting to hear at this stage in their career. But I'll always welcome some new Silverstein too.
Yes. I think it's important to talk about who's missing from that lineup. My wife actually brought up a great point. Under Oath is missing from that lineup.
You don't think that's going to have something to do with maybe a tour around their new album?
Could be. Although touring with all the dudes that you toured with in Warped Tour is probably one of the best promotions you can do for a new album.
Yeah, I think this festival seems a lot more emo and sing-along friendly, which Under Oath does have some of those songs and moments, but they fit in more with like the Aftershock crowd, I think, now with their current style.
Can you feel your heartbeat racing, John?
I can. Don't get me started on that. But they're also one of those bands that even though that lineup has some star power, they would easily be the most anticipated set by the time that show is happening.
Yeah, I just imagine giant festival, heat of the sun in Las Vegas, and then the sun goes down, and then just brutality.
There's just palpable energy at Under Oath shows that you really can't define, and we'll talk about their new album soon, but
they have tried to define the Great Line, so
yeah.
Got him.
All right, let's start before you make any more terrible jokes.
I think these are great jokes. All right, so the first single on our playlist today is Swedish House Mafia's One in symphony form. I thought that this was a cool concept. I think it was executed decently.
Yeah, not what I was expecting when I saw they'd released a new song on January 1st in the middle of an album rollout. But I'll take a cool symphonic recomposition of One. I haven't listened to the original one in I feel like about a decade, so it made me go back to that. And
it's a great song.
Do you think, not catalog wise, but reputation wise, they're on the same level as like Daft Punk and Justice in terms of just iconography, I guess?
You know, I think you and I discussed this a couple of months ago. Maybe I don't think so. I think that their reputation is huge. I think that they're very well known, and I think that they draw insane crowds. But I just don't think that they're at that level. I think Justice, Daft Punk, Chemical Brothers. I think that those are the 3 greats in electronic dance music, and I think that. I think that Swedish House Mafia did something special in 2012, and I think that that's kind of it. You know?
Yeah, I agree. I personally like all of their individual careers a lot more than Swedish House Mafia, and I think from a commercial standpoint, Show Me Love is a much more influential song in music today than almost anything that they made, but I do appreciate them and I'm
Yeah.
glad to see him back. I hope that this album's good, honestly.
Yeah, and it's an interesting placement for them on the Coachella lineup at the very bottom in the largest font. You think it's going to be each one of them every day, or
No,
like
I'm
Sebastian and
guessing
Grosso on Friday?
that
Like,
had to be there on Sunday, but for some reason they have this princess parking on the flyer, and
Princess
I
Parking.
don't. They had to have paid so fucking much for that, dear God, or it's just in the contract.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think Ye was probably just like, let's go. And Coachella was like, well, what do we do? We just signed with Swedish House Mafia.
I think he's gonna play it safe. He's gonna do the hits. He's not gonna do a Donda show. He knows that this is too high profile of a performance to just like try his weird shit. He's gonna do play it safe Kanye, which is not gonna be bad, but I'm not really excited about it.
I will say that Donda did get my album of the year at the very bottom of the list. So, all right, moving on. We have
You got your Razzie.
you know it. All right, man. So next we had a couple of Dreamland Deluxe singles. I noticed you didn't put the. I think there's more from the deluxe album, but
Everything else had been released at some point. These
Got
were
it.
the only two completely new songs.
got it. Well, I really liked these two. I think Coral Pink should have probably made the album cut. I'm surprised it got cut from the original.
Interesting. I thought of Coral Pink as more of like an interlude than a full album song, but I thought it would have fit nicely within the album. And I love seeing him and Trombone Shorty together.
Oh yeah.
They did, I think, a remix on that Pokemon album, and obviously they did some work on the Genesis series, which is something I try to bring up every episode if you haven't noticed. And
Wait.
Mannequins
Are
and
you a fan
Egos,
of the Genesis series? That's weird.
it's tattooed on my stomach, Brandon. Mannequins and Egos is cool. It actually takes me back to that time, like with the way he's interpolating the classic hip hop phrases, like the 50 Cent, damn homie, all of that shit. I think Zoo is starting to return to form, even if his merch is insanely overpriced. Another
Hey,
thing we try to bring up every chance
if
we
anybody
get.
wanted some Zoo sandals, they went on sale from 60 to I think 45. So I don't know if that sale ended yet, but jump on it, you know?
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
surprised Hypebeast doesn't cover his shit because, by the way it's priced, and I think there's no way he sells out like hundreds of those things. He must make like 5 pairs of sandals for them to sell out like that. That's insane.
I honestly think the Night Day EP is still his most like sought after piece of merchandise.
Well, he did that thing for I think it was Night Day. It could have been Genesis series where he did the same thing that Daft Punk did heading up towards Coachella, which is buy 3 billboards all in a row and kind of make them line up at a certain place on the way into the desert, which I think was pretty cool. But I think I should have known then that it was mainly marketing, that he was trying to just sell some merch instead of I don't know. He makes good music, so I did like these.
Yeah, bring us the saxophone and guitar and all that shit, and we're along for the ride. But
Yeah,
I don't
man.
need $50 sandals, dude.
No, nobody does. Pro tip.
Cool logo though, I'll give you that. Cool
True.
logo.
True. Alrighty, so you threw this one on. Talk to me about Faye Webster.
So, Tyler, the creator, tweeted out some of his favorite songs of 2021. They weren't all necessarily songs that came out in 2021, but this one coincidentally did. And I'd heard of her, but never actually heard her music. And I looked this song up because I figured Tyler has fantastic taste. This one was very surprising. I was expecting much more indie, maybe Phoebe Bridgers leaning pop type stuff. This was like kind of the perfect intersection of me and you in terms of our taste in music. It's got that indie vibe to it, but it's also got that like Childish Gambino, Redbone soul bounce to it. I thought it was a great song. What did you think?
That's so funny you say that because this reminds me a lot of Phoebe Bridgers. Just kind of with her cadence, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But man, that sax in this song was tasteful.
So maybe I'll throw it on later this month or whenever. I went and looked at some more of her other music, and I think her most played song on Spotify is a song called Kingston. And she uses like a lot of like brass instruments or just different elements to round out her sound, and it's very interesting.
Nice. Well, I did really enjoy this one. It was good. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Great.
I think I'm gonna throw her onto my radar here.
You should.
All right, fine. All right. So this next one kind of caught me off guard a little bit, man. I saw you threw some Madonna on, and I'm not, you know, Madonna averse, but I wasn't expecting what I heard, and I really liked this. I think it was a little short, but Madonna put out "Frozen" with Sick Kick, and it's really cool, man. The vocals are neat. It's just a really good song. Kind of sounds like an intro or kind of like a teaser, but it was pretty neat.
Yeah. Props to my wife for showing me this song. I think this popped up on her release radar a few weeks ago, or maybe late last year. And I don't know who Sickick is. I'm assuming it's the person that remixed the song. Props to her label for clearing this. I know she had nothing to do with it. It kind of reminds me of Scream's In for the Kill remix by LaRue. It's got that really open, spacey vibe to it, but it's not nearly as complete of a song as that one is. And it also reminds me of like, not reminds me of, it just makes me realize like how far music's come in the last decade, because 10 years ago this exact song would have been a SoundCloud release at best, and now it's on the radio, which is pretty fucking crazy.
It's also apparently all over the TikTok. Is that what the kids are using
Yeah,
nowadays?
I you were talking about the length of the song. I meant to say that as well. I assume it's tailored for TikTok.
It's very social media friendly.
I think videos max out around 3 minutes.
Interesting. Today I learned.
Next
Alrighty.
week on Reading Ranked.
You
Take
know it,
a
man.
look. Sorry.
Come on, man, finish it. If you're gonna start it. All right. I think next we have a song called "Bunny Is a Rider" by a Caroline Polachek.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not butchering that. This is catchy as fuck, man. It's a great beat.
Polachek. Yeah. Pitchfork had this listed as their top song of 2021, and I never heard it or even saw that it had come out. I heard Caroline Polachek late last year on one of those Charlie XCX singles that we reviewed.
I
But
see.
that's maybe where you saw her name and why it was maybe a little familiar, but I'd never heard any of her solo stuff. This was not my favorite song of 2021, but it was a good song. It's got really sleek production. It's kind of like a mini concept album in a song, which is cool. And yeah, I was taken by it. I thought it was really, really good, really catchy. Definitely check out more music by her if we see something new released.
Yeah, I very much like this song. So thanks for adding it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pitchfork, for staying relevant, apparently, or keeping us relevant, rather. All right, let's talk about Let's Eat Grandma, my man.
Let's talk about it.
I can't tell how I felt about Hall of Mirrors. Kind of like I don't know. I can't really say what I didn't like about it, but it just, I don't know, felt a little generic, but also it wasn't. I don't know. I feel like I should like it, but I don't know, man.
Is that in terms of like all of the songs or just Hall of Mirrors?
Specifically Hall of Mirrors. I liked Two Ribbons, I think is my favorite of these three you threw on.
Interesting. Okay. So I've been seeing their name, I think, on festival lineups for the last few years now. It's a name that stands out, obviously.
Correct.
And Spotify has been recommending a lot more synth pop to me since last year because of probably how much I listen to the Marias and Magdalena Bay. But I'm not complaining. I like synth pop. It's cool.
Nobody can blame them also because I think you and I both I listened to the Marias today. So
yeah. Oh my God. That's a forever in the rotation type of album. But so yeah, their newest song, Happy New Year, came out and I played it and I thought it was like good festival music, especially like the fireworks in the bridge. I thought that was a really nice touch. But yeah, I feel like this is really good synth pop. Actually, I just feel like we're kind of coming off like maybe not a historic year of synth pop, but like even Churches released an album last year. Like there was a lot of heavy hitters in that genre that released fantastic albums last year. So I feel like we were just maybe a little fatigued with the genre, but I don't know. I didn't hate these. I think I liked them a little more than you did from the sound of it, but we'll review their album in full when it comes out and see if something else on it hits you differently.
Yeah, let's do that because I can't really say what I don't like about it. It's not that I don't like it. I think you're right. I think you made a great point that we're just kind of a little fatigued with the genre. And yeah, man, we had some great synth pop. I actually listened. I don't know if you listened to that Church's album that came out, but I did, because everybody had it on their albums of the year, and the last album they had put out just sounded more of the same that they had put out prior, and it was okay.
Yeah, no, I think there was a reason neither you or I threw it on last year. It was good, but it was very predictable. And the strengths of what makes churches good can wear thin because they don't do enough to change that up.
So I do have to say something though about Let's Eat Grandma before we move on. You
Go for
threw
it.
Faye Webster on, and then Two Ribbons. Um, do you can you still say like today that you're like not a Phoebe Bridgers fan? Because I mean it's the same.
Oh, did she write those songs? Is she singing from them? Are these about like hyper specific details about getting pregnant at a drive-in or whatever she sings about? I don't know what Phoebe Bridgers sings about.
John, you know that you've gotten pregnant at a drive-in, sir.
With emotion, maybe.
Oh man, that's a good movie.
No,
All right.
honestly, I don't know, man. Throw another Phoebe song on if you want me to give it another shot.
Maybe I will. My notes say, just tell me you like Phoebe Bridgers, bro. It's okay.
Punch me in the fucking face, Brandon.
Alrighty. Well, you threw on Vintage Culture with Left Wing featuring Annabelle England, which isn't she a host on BBC Radio or something along those lines?
I think you're thinking of Annie Mac.
I am thinking of Annie Mac. Well, anyways, this is a great track. Fucking banger.
Yeah, I agree. And when I heard it, I thought, for some reason, I've always thought Vintage Culture was Adventure Club. Like, I thought that they were the same. I was like, oh, this is the group that remixed Flight Facilities. And I was
Nope.
very wrong.
Yeah. Nope.
No, not at all. Another one, shout out to my wife for showing me this song. She was the one that discovered it. This one is fantastic. Very good early 2010s rave vibes. If 25-year-old heard this, my fucking like soul would leave my body.
Yeah, this is a great track. This is a banger.
It's
bro.
one of those like, oh man, it's perfect. I love that one.
This is great. I immediately clicked follow on Vintage Culture. So
Yeah, they're fucking fantastic. That's a killer song.
yeah, man. Alrighty. So next we have the next installment for my highly anticipated upcoming album here. Alt J put out Hard Drive Gold.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one, just not as much as the last two. Still pretty excited for the album. I have a feeling you didn't like this one.
You know me so well, Brandon. I liked that this one was a little more up-tempo than the last two singles. The weird fire part that he sings is a little off-putting to me, but
I'm sorry, you
there's
cut out
decent...
a little bit.
Can you do that again? We'll see if something on the album hits me differently. I liked this song more than the last two singles, but still not enough to like make me an alt J guy, so to speak.
All right, man. Well, there's still tomorrow.
There is
Something that I know that we both fucking loved. We have Alice in Wonderland with Fear of Dying. She's just, I love the textures that she's been experimenting with lately.
Yes. It's weird that you don't like Flume because this is a Flume song to me. It's glitchy, it's arpeggiated. The main drop goes completely left of where you think it's building to. I think you're a Flume fan and you just don't realize it. He's your Phoebe Bridgers.
Did Flume put out that awful mixtape, didn't he, in 2019?
Yes, but he also put out Skin, which is one of the best electronic albums of the last 10 years.
I think I like Skin. I think Flume is highly overrated as far as hype goes. You know me, I'm allergic to hype. But I think I'm going to revisit Skin now because I do remember liking that album. But
revisit the singles he's released since then. He's released a few singles that are very Skin-like. And
I'm pretty sure that mixtape made me click unfollow because it was just awful.
It's horrible.
Just awful,
I agree.
Man.
I will not defend that mixtape in any way, shape, or form. I think maybe some music publication websites tended to like it, and it's like it's death grips to me. That fucking
Oh,
album is just death
man.
grips to me.
Man, I have a conspiracy that record labels will pay for sponsored content from people like Pitchfork, and those writers will write anything apparently. So
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't agree with Pitchfork's point of view. Their articles and reviews tend to be well written. I'm not they're usually pretty transparent when something's a paid advertisement, but in terms of paid influence, I have no idea.
yeah, I think all
Just leave
those
it at that. Yeah.
I think all those big music publications, man, are just so algorithm driven nowadays because people like probably like you and me. I don't know how you get your Pitchfork, but I get it in the email, along with Consequence and Dancing Astronaut and shit like that. Because I'm not on the socials anymore, but I didn't want to miss out on some of the articles that I used to like reading. So I subscribe to their emails, and I think that in order for them to actually drive traffic to make any sort of money to pay their writers, I think they have to be algorithm driven. And I think if you don't like Flume or specifically that garbage mixtape, I think that it would rub some people the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? So I think maybe if they're not getting paid directly from the record labels, maybe they're getting paid indirectly to put false positive spin on things that don't deserve it. Maybe I'm just a
Yeah,
conspiracy theorist.
maybe 9/11 was an inside job.
Well, all right. So, Menace by Rez. Was
I'll
this
get him
not on
going
the
one day.
album?
Just keep listening. Um, no, so this is a song that she'd been playing live for a while and added it to the album as a bonus track, but it's not like a deluxe edition. She just kind of retroactively added it as a bonus track. It's a little confusing in terms of its release, but it's quintessential Rez. It's
Oh
a
yeah,
fucking
banger.
banger.
Absolute
Yep.
banger.
Yep,
Just
this is head nod music. This is fantastic.
yeah.
She's one of the best right now.
Yeah, she's killing it. Love it. Absolutely love it. Another thing I really love is this next one with Azizi Gibson, Freddie Gibbz. Hate to say it.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Go ahead.
Go for it. Okay. I right away, this song popped up obviously because I listen to Freddie Gibbz all day, every day. But I've heard a few Azizi Gibson songs before, and he's always been okay. I've never like disliked him. He had a song called Nintendo King that, while very, very sexual and kind of uncomfortable to listen to around other people at times, is a song I very much fuck with. It it's an interesting combination of people that I wasn't really expecting to see pop up together, but I was pleasantly surprised. I like how Azizi's doing the whole Petey Pablo Freaka Leak thing of just naming like different girls as the beat name. That's just fantastic, like 90s, 2000 shit. And Freddie Gibbz is great on this, as is tradition.
So I think what I like most about this and most of Freddie Gibbs collabs is that it feels like a collaboration and not just verse, chorus, verse. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels more like a collaboration. And Freddie's just really good at that. So I really liked that
Yeah. Best Freddie Gibbs verse of the year so far. I'll say that.
so far. Alrighty. Well, I am so glad that Flight Facilities put out their album last year, because now we get to start the new year with a bunch of remixes from Flight Facilities and for Flight Facilities. It's just awesome. And we have Flight Facilities with Heavy, the Folamore remix. I don't know who Folamore is, but I sure do now.
You do know who Folamore is. I looked into it because I was like, this name looks a little familiar. And he did a song last year with S.G. Lewis called Lost in Space that we reviewed.
All right.
And I think I didn't go back and listen to our podcast about it, but I think we both kind of credited S.G. Lewis for that song being so good in the way that it was. But maybe we were a little unfair, and Folamore deserved more credit than we were giving him, because this is fantastic, and it's definitely on that same like modern disco,
Funky.
French new wave, yeah, funky. It just works so well, and it's a Heavy was one of the songs I was expecting to be remixed. Heavy and Move
Yep.
definitely like feel like they're ready for remixes, and so I'm glad we got a good one for it.
Yeah, man. This was good. This was really good, really funky.
Definitely.
All right. Moving on here, I think we have a Mattlange with "Ordinary Love" with vocalist Denise Rezo.
Hmm.
God, I love Mattlange, man. This guy just gets it.
Yeah, I at first I thought this was like a remix of "Ordinary Love" by Sade. I don't I don't think it has anything to do with that, but it feels like a weird spiritual successor in another universe to it, I guess.
Fair. Let's go.
Great,
Let's roll with
great
that.
song, start to finish. Matt Lane just keeps putting out great music. I love it.
Yeah, this is modular perfection, man. The percussion is just next level on this track.
Oh, totally.
It's just haunting. This is good. This is good music. I love this shit. Give me
Yeah,
more of this.
agreed.
Something I want so much more of. We have King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, bet with Black Hot Soup, and it's a DJ Shadow My Own Reality rewrite. He could have just said remix, but whatever.
I just put DJ Shadow remix on my notes if it makes you feel any better.
God damn, DJ Shadow gets it, man. He just understands how things need to move. You know, this is fucking awesome, man. I loved this.
Yeah. Oh, totally agree. I think he gets the right to call it a rewrite because he fully reimagined the song from the ground up. But I would take a full collab of between these two. But if you do want more of them, I think they are releasing a full remix album in about an hour and 10 minutes. So
Awesome.
you'll have that to look forward to.
Yes. Yes, I do. Big fan of King Gizzard. Glad to see them on the Coachella lineup. That'll be a fun stream for me to Couchella.
Yes.
Alrighty, we've got Love, V3 by Cascade, Lipless as the vocalist. This is the best of the new version so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. This remix is really good, and I've liked all six of them so far, but like six fucking singles. Just drop V3 already, for God's sakes. This is too many singles.
We're going to talk about too many singles versus album content later on in this show, and it's something that I'm actually rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. But I will mention I saw somebody post on the interwebs a video of Cascade playing Hakkasan in Las Vegas, and felt the need to kind of jump in to the podcast and talk to you about it. Have you ever seen Cascade at a Vegas residency set?
No.
Okay. I have, and it was awful. It was just garbage, and it was really disappointing because of how much I love, number one, his music, and number two, his DJ sets. And it just made me think about how that worked. Maybe it was the club. I remember the sound being just god awful. He didn't play barely any of his original music, and it got me thinking about, well, do these residencies kind of like make these artists play certain songs, or certain, you can only play X amount of originals, or something along those lines. And it just it I don't know, man. It when you release music like this, how can you not play that at your shows? But I don't know.
Yeah, it's a flawed system, the whole pool party DJ set versus like an artistic set. And what if my fans are at a pool party and not just people in Vegas who are paying to be at a club? It's an interesting business, but I don't think you can go to Vegas. And if you're a fan of hip hop or R&B, you can't go to like Dre's After Hours Club and expect a concert level performance. They're going to be up there for 20 to 30 minutes singing over like just the CD pretty much, or the MP3. Like, it's just a different game. Those things are shitty. They're more about the experience. You're not supposed to be focused on the music in Vegas. I don't think, unless you're at EDC or something. It's supposed to be like the soundtrack to what's happening to your night, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I agree, it's shitty, and I I'm sorry you had to sit through that. But I've actually only seen Cascade once, and that was the last EDC in LA.
Oh man. One of my fondest memories of Coachella is 2013. Cascade in the Sahara tent before it was the megalith, the monolith that it is today. It was this tent the same size as all the other tents, and it was hot. It was sweaty. It was one of the best electronic performances I think I've
What
ever
year
seen.
was this?
2013.
Oh, okay, no, I wasn't there.
That was a good year. And then he
And then
played,
his next one was the historic
yeah, the
performance.
85,000 people at the stage or something like that. And God, man, that was a good set too. I was there as well. But
Cagecella.
oh man, that was a good show.
I'm
All right,
surprised he hasn't released that set as a vinyl.
I actually tried to find it the other day because sometimes I'll get nostalgic, and it used to just be on YouTube. Like you used to just be able to watch that professionally
The video,
recorded
yeah.
set on the YouTube, and somebody took it down for copyright violation, and they now show you whose copyright it was and who requested it get taken down. And goddamn you, Golden Voice, just let me have something.
Yeah, fuckers.
Now I'm going to record all their sets. I'm going to record all the sets this year, everybody. Just hit me up. We'll figure it out. We'll Google Drive it or something. I'm going to get everybody the sets they want. Alrighty. We have two singles by Royksop. And
Yep.
one, I think, was just kind of the intro, which is Nothing But Ashes. And then we have The Ladder. And this album's going to be chill as fuck, bro.
Yeah, it's very, very chill's a great word for it, but goddamn, like when the low end of this song starts to kick in and you just have that like undulating bass tone to it underneath it all, it's fucking
God.
fantastic.
You know, I don't know what your history with Röyksopp is, but I kind of had a very unique electronic, I guess, epiphany. Not really an epiphany, but my boy's uncle used to pick us up from hanging out when we were kids, like 14, 15 years old, and he would drive us back to their house. Shout out to Jason. And he had mix CDs in his car at all times. And on these mix CDs, I heard for the first time Röyksopp. I heard for the first time DVNO by Justice, and a plethora of other nice, like legendary electronic artists. And it really, I think, helped me shape what I like about electronic music, because it can be music and not just not just pop, like it is today. And man, this is good shit, man. I like Röyksopp. I'm excited for this album.
Yeah, this is high quality shit. Very excited for the album as well.
Definitely. Something coming up next. I threw on here Bad Sons. I guess there's no weirdness with the Spotify releases anymore. This song was called Life Was Easier When I Only Cared About Me, I think is what it's called.
It's goddamn Fall Out Boy song titles.
Oh, what's the one? Tell Mick if I ever catch him or do something again. Oh man.
Yeah, fantastic. Great
Big
song
fan.
too.
Big fan. I like this song. This is indie pop rock, baby. Let's go. It's catchy. It's fun. I'm excited for the full album. There was 4 other singles, but I just threw this one on because I think I liked this one the best, and I'm excited to review the full album with you.
I'm excited to review the full album, but it has been raining for like 4 weeks in a row here. So this like super sun-soaked indie pop is not like hitting me mentally the way that it should, but it's a very catchy song. I'll give you that.
I had the complete opposite experience, my man. It was 82 degrees today, and I played this rolling down, rolling down past the polo fields, man. Like it was bright and sunny. There was flowers everywhere.
I had
Whoa.
like 4-foot walls of snow next to me earlier today.
That makes sense. That's why you're more digging the Röyksopp, and
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
that's funny. Well, sorry, man. The desert misses you.
I know.
Righty, here we have Tin Liquor, and Just to Hear You Say. These boys just get it, man. Pleasant, chill house. Love this duo.
Yep. Don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah, it's fucking great. They're doing the Lord's work over here. Next we have something I threw on here, Fontaine's DC with Jackie Down the Line. Tell me what you thought about this one, man.
I thought it was good. It's got that, I'm guessing they're British, English, something like that. It's got that like kind of like a down tempo Vaccines vibe to it. I really dug it. It was good. And I guess they have an album coming out soon too.
They do, and they actually released one in 2020, which I really enjoyed. And I found them. I found them. They just kind of came up on my dig when I was going through a lot of the other. Ready for it? Post punk revival that's happening, and we've got Idols and Proto Martyr and Viagra Boys, and these guys are kind of right within that sound wave that I am just digging currently, and this band rocks, man. I really like it. Song is good. It's not anything different than what they've put out in the past, which I'm super okay with. Maybe I'll throw some more of their other music on here because if you like this one, you'll like the rest. It's good shit.
For sure.
Next up, we have a song called Wild by a little band named Spoon, and my only notes say this is going to be a good album.
Yeah, they're fucking great songwriters. I'm so excited to hear this album in full. I wish it was out a little sooner than it is.
I know, man.
I'm ready.
It's really cool seeing a band like this who's been around for fucking ever. I think they released their first album in '98 or something like that, and they're on top of their game right now. So,
oh yeah, no, they've sounded better now. Hot Thoughts is my favorite Spoon album, honestly. So
I'm gonna go ahead and say same because it's a really good one, man. That was on repeat. So I think it was 2018, 2019, one of those. Good stuff, man.
Fucking fantastic.
All right, here's our monthly Boy Harsher.
More synth pop.
More synth pop. I like this one. This is a good song. I fuck with this. Latin house pop is what I put.
Interesting. It reminds me of this fucking like weird electro group I used to listen to on MySpace called Electric Valentine that was like an LA kind of weird goth band, but it gives me like the vibe of the type of music that the like South Park goth kids would do their little two-step dance to. It's got that like to it. I'm assuming they have an album coming out this year. I'm seeing their name everywhere lately. So
really?
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't know if it's algorithm or what. My wife has also, I think, listened to that last song they released a few times. But yeah, they're definitely on my radar, and I never like actively searched them out. So they must be doing something right.
Well, I'm telling you, man, algorithms. Algorithms, 9/11. All right. Next we have Parquet Courts. And I guess this is a new single or something along those lines. It might be part of like maybe a deluxe album they're putting out or something. I don't know. I loved it. Watching Strangers Smile. Great song title. Great song. I loved it.
Yeah. It's oddly enough, it's really the keyboard and tambourine that make this fucking song work. Never thought I'd say that, but yeah, another album I'm really looking forward to.
Oh man, I loved that sentence.
I couldn't even say it with a straight face.
Oh man,
you guys hear the
funny.
fucking tambourine on this? It's like the fucking SNL cowbell sketch, but like that dude was just in the studio playing his ass off.
My man, go get it.
I got a fever.
Oh man. More tambourine. Alrighty, we've got no tambourine in this next one from Lane 8. It is Automatic featuring Solomon Gray. This is a beautiful song. I feel like he lied to me though. He said that this album that he's going to be releasing is his most dance floor centric, and this is not really dance floor material, but I still love it because it's this song.
It's like a dance floor in Prague or something.
Dance floor in the snow. Yeah, I really like this. Props to him. I'm glad he's playing Coachella. It's gonna be a good set, I think. Anybody going to Coachella and listening to this, don't skip on Lane 8. Just do yourself a favor and don't skip it.
No, that's gonna be a hell of a show. He's fucking so good. All 4 singles have been really different from each other. I'm excited to hear this one.
Yeah, the context of an album I think is going to put them all together really beautifully, and I think that I don't know if you've ever listened to Little by Little. I think it was his first album. It might even be like an EP. The vinyl is impossible to find for under $300. Thank you, world. But he kind of tells a story, and I don't even think there's many lyrics on that album. I don't think he could afford lyricists back then, but or vocalist rather, but he just kind of tells this electronic story, and I'm so excited to hear all of these fit together because they don't fit together right now, and that's what makes it so exciting for me.
Yeah, this one I think it's safe to say is gonna slide pretty safely into the album of the year discussion, at least as it pertains to electronic music.
I
Pretty
think so
fast.
too. I think so too, man. It's shaping up to be a good one. Still can't pre-order the album. Somebody send me to somewhere where I can buy this vinyl before it comes out, so I don't have to pay $300 for it. Um, Something that won't be hard to pre-order. We've got Korn with Forgotten, start of a new album rollout. You're a big fan of Korn, aren't you?
I am not. I don't know if that's a bit that I was supposed to go along with,
No,
but
no,
I am
it's
not.
a bit, but I knew you were.
I like the vegetable. This is okay. Honestly, like the guitars rip a little harder than I was expecting at times, but it's still a little too butt rock for me.
I don't know if you've listened to their most recent album. I think it was 2019, but it was an album where he lost his wife and then wrote an album. And man, it's special, man. I highly recommend you listen to it. But this is a good song. Hopefully, this is a new album rollout, and let's go.
How are you gonna drop something all like sad like that on me and make me look like a dick for
No, no,
hating
no, no,
them?
no. I do because I
I'm
get it, right? I get it, right? You listen to Adidas and it's like all day I dream about sex, and it's like really, bro, like really, this is the
I think
music
the
you're
last
pushing on me.
Corn did they worked with Skrillex, right? Didn't they do an album with him?
They did, they did.
That
Well,
was the last
they
I
didn't
heard
do
of
an
them.
album with Skrillex. They did an album with a bunch of dubstep artists, which I thought was honestly really brave because.
That's an interesting application of the word brave, but okay.
I thought, dude, it was because when I saw them, it was actually the year or two after they put out that album, and "Feed Me" is actually featured on one of those songs, which I thought was pretty interesting. It's my least favorite "Feed Me" song, but don't get me started there. But yeah, man, they actually played the Skrillex song at the show that I saw them at. I think this was in 2013. Saw it with my boy Irving. Shout out Irv, and yeah, everybody booed them during that song, but I like it. So I don't know, man. I think I'll always have a soft spot for Korn. I think I listened to "Blind" was the first song I ever heard by Korn. That was on their first album, and I don't know, man. I'll always have a soft spot for them. So we're gonna review this album. So just get ready for that. Prepare yourself mentally and physically if you have to.
I like Freak on a Leash. I'll leave it at that, I
All
guess.
right, there you go. There you go.
So there is a line.
There, there's always a line. All right, so next we have Saba featuring Crazy Bone with "Come My Way." This is really fucking good, man. Great lyrics, great instrumentals, just all around great track.
Yeah, all three singles he's released from his upcoming album have been fucking fire. This one is great. I was not expecting a Crazy Bone feature, but once you hear the like flow of the song, you're like, oh yeah, this is totally a modern Bone Thugs type of flow, and it was really, really smart and cool of him to like work with them. I thought this came out great. This album's gonna be a fucking banger. I can already tell.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is going to be a good one. So let's. Do we know when this is coming out, by chance?
Yeah, I think it's February 4th.
All right,
Give me 1 second. Yeah, February 4th. It's called
sweet.
Few Good Things.
All right, excited for that one. All right, next up we have something that is highly anticipated for you, Joey Badass with "The Revenge."
I want to lie to you so bad and say I really, really like this song, but it's a fucking blatant ripoff of Middle Child by J. Cole. It's note for note the same song.
Oh no.
Like his lyrics are fine, like when he gets into actual rapping, but even looking past that, it's kind of just a generic paint by numbers triumphant banger with these big horns like Laugh Now, Cry Later by Drake or Industry Baby by Lil Nas X. It's just like this sound, and he's better than this. He's so much more creative than this. All American Badass I just listened to today. It's still like an instant classic. Like that is a perfect album. And I don't know what's happened to him personally over since that time. I I think it's safe to say he's maybe like trying to like find religion or do some things of that light. He released like an EP called The Light of like a year or two ago, and it was a little different than what he'd been doing. He's still a very talented rapper, but like you've heard him on Code of the Friend songs and stuff. Like this is not that guy. This is a guy trying to make a banger, and it's trying to recreate the magic of like Temptation or Devastated. And it's not like you can't recreate a classic. You have to make a new classic. And I'm still very, very excited that he's making new music, and hopefully this is going to lead to a new album. But this was not it for me. I'm still a huge fan of his, but this one disappointed me.
I'm glad you said that, man, because you're right. This kind of horn sound. I'll be real. Maybe this is a hot take. I don't know. I've never really liked that sound in hip hop. All those songs you mentioned, those never do it for me, man. I love brass instruments. I love horns. I just don't think that they fit well in hip hop, and or at least the way that it is trying to be forced into hip hop, if that makes sense.
Yeah, in this like marching band sound type of way.
Yeah, I think the only time it actually really worked was Lil Wayne and Birdman did an album together called Like Father Like Son, and I think there was a couple of songs on there where I really actually liked the horns. But I'm kind of glad you said that because I wasn't a huge fan of this, but I did listen to All American Badass, and that is a great album. So let's hope that this is an album rollout and we can just kind of remove the revenge out of there, and we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, and kind of misleading, like all these movie posters and stuff. I thought that we were getting an album. I didn't know it was just going to be this song, but I'm not trying to sound ungrateful, but it was a very confusing rollout for a single.
Well, let's hope for the best.
Fingers crossed.
Alrighty. Next up, we have a Flight Facilities remix of a fantastic song, "Wake Me Up" by Foles. Holy shit, this fucks, man. Like, this is an incredible remix.
Yeah, so far we've gotten. I like both remixes we've gotten of this song more than I like the original. I didn't think much of the song when we reviewed it, "Wake Me Up" by Foles. I thought it was good. It didn't like blow me away in any way or make me think, oh, some of the greatest electronic musicians of our generation are all going to want to do a version of this. Maybe they know the guys in Foles. I don't know. But both of these remixes are fucking great. The Gaspard one and now the Flight Facilities one. Love them both.
I think it was, I don't want to say unremarkable, but maybe unremarkable adjacent the original song, and I think Foles is very big across the pond. So I think when artists like Gaspard heard that song, maybe they just saw holes that just needed to be filled with some funk, and maybe Flight Facilities thought the same thing about, you know what, maybe this needs a 303. So it's possible.
Hasselhoff is big in Germany. Anything's possible.
And Martin Solveig is big in Japan. Alrighty. Moving on, we have, God, a fucking banger. Thank you, Jid. Oh my gosh. Surround Sound by Jid, 21 Savage, Baby Tate. I am a big fan of this. This is Jid on just on his best. I'm
yeah,
speechless.
no. It's that fucking good. Like, this is the inject this straight into my veins type of shit.
For sure, man.
Kind of a shock drop for a single. He's been quiet since DiCaprio 2, mostly doing features and some group collective projects with some other Atlanta-based people. This is definitely album form Jid. He hasn't fully announced an album, but we're headed that way. I think late last year, you and I were speculating what possible new rap albums we would get this year. And obviously, we're looking forward to like Kendrick Lamar, Freddie Gibbz. We were talking about the possibility of a new Pusha T. And we've kind of been overlooking what would happen if Jid were to drop a new album, because it's has the potential to be just as good, if not better, than all of those albums. He is that good of a rapper. He is only getting better with every release at a scary rate. This one, I I would have taken so many other people over 21 Savage, but he doesn't necessarily kill the song. The Baby Tate version is or verse is very, very brief. I do love that he does a second verse at the end. It makes the whole thing feel like you're actually satisfied with the song. If it would have just been that first verse and then the two guests, I wouldn't have been happy. But he fucking lives up to his reputation on this, and I cannot wait for a new album. How'd you feel?
If we get DiCaprio 3 this year, I think that's going
it
right
won't be
into...
DiCaprio.
I know, I'm just fucking around with you, but
DiCaprio
man, I just love how Jid he just glides over these beats, man. He just lyrically glides over everything that you put in front of him, and yeah, let's hope that this is something that we can look forward to, some more releases from him specifically.
Here's everyone's homework. Without listening to the song, try to rap the "I'm an anomaly" line that he does. It is impossible to do. How he does it and doesn't like stumble over the words is just incredible. Like, he's one of the best to ever do it, and we're witnessing greatness right now.
Yeah, this was a good track, man. I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, song of the month potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Up next, we have an interesting single, "Buy American" by Joywave. How do you feel about Joywave these days?
Okay, so I feel like this album rollout. I feel like this album came out like 6 months ago, and apparently it hasn't. Every Window is a Mirror. Like, that album came out. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Have they been rolling this out since 2020? Like, what is going on?
I honestly have no fucking clue, man. And this isn't my favorite Joywave song by any means, but I threw it on here because I really just like our conversations about them at this point.
Yeah, I can tell, dude. I don't. It's like, it's fine. It's kind of like Tame Impala, indie rock meets classic rock. Very dumb lyrics. I don't know if it's supposed to be like an ironic thing. But yeah, if this is a rollout, it's taking way too long.
Well, so I think, and I know I will. To answer your question, yes, this is an album rollout. The album is called Cleanse, and I don't think that it has anything to do with the most recent release. So, because I think the album came out. They put an album out in 2020 called Possession, and then they put out a single, or an EP rather, which was Every Window is a Mirror, which...
And that's the beginning of the current artwork format they've been using ever since.
I guess maybe it is the same thing. I don't fucking know, but I do know that I do like the band generally, so this was an interesting song that... it's definitely not my favorite Joywave song, but I really just wanted that conversation. So thank you for humoring me there. Something I really, really, really fucking loved and cannot wait for more is Bob Moses is back with a Love Brand New.
Oh, so good, man. The fucking vocals are so good on this. The low end is so crisp, and that like guitar just adds a perfect dimension to this song. Really, really like this one.
Yeah, I love how they incorporate guitar into their music, man. I mean, when they play live, he's up there with his guitar, and it is cool. And this is absolutely just really cool. I think his hat is silly, but God, I love their music.
Oh, man, the fucking Dashboard Confessional.
Hey, man, Chris Carrabba is a legend, sir. Alrighty.
Put that hat in the Guggenheim.
You're a fucking Guggenheim. Alrighty, we have Drove with Citadel. We first came across Drove last year when they did some music with, I think, Dylan Francis. And they put out an EP, and I think Dylan Francis was featured on one of them, maybe two. I clicked follow because I really liked that music, and I'm glad I did because we got this through it all with somebody called Citadel. This is good. Kind of reminds me of like a Tin Liquor a little bit. Not quite as good, don't get me wrong, but
no, that's a really good comparison. I think that this is the most complete song yet, for sure. Drove is an industry plant. Am I wrong?
I think that's what we originally came up with, because how are you that good with, your first EP. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't think of anybody that puts out their very first music ever, full stop, and have it be mastered like that. You know?
Yeah, it sounds way too fucking polished to just be some like,
It's
oh, I was
tight.
just trying music out.
Yeah, I pirated FL Studio, so let's see what this
Just
does.
happened to get Dylan Francis on my first EP.
They've got to be an industry plant, or maybe it's somebody that we don't know. Maybe it's Tiesto's new moniker or something. You know,
Oh,
you never
Jesus.
know.
Yeah, he needs another one.
Oh, right. Well, I really liked this one. So industry plant or not, let's listen to them, because I am liking it. So
Same.
it's gonna be somebody. It's gonna be somebody that we know. I bet you. All right. Next up, we have Babyface Ray, with a really cool song. Featuring Landstrip Chip, who I've never heard of, and the
Just two
legendary Pusha T.
phenomenal names, Babyface Ray and Landstrip Chip.
I mean, you know,
You're just incredible, dude. I love that Landstrip Chip. It's so Bay Area sounding. I honestly like. I like the song, but I only added it for Pusha T, and bar for bar, he might be the greatest rapper of all time.
Wait, you're not a fan of Landstrip Chip?
Honestly, they
Alright.
do a good job, and I'm gonna go back and listen to this more. But every time I get to the end of it, all I can remember is that Pusha T just eviscerates the back half of this song.
I just need to say I wrote down a quote, because this quote was just too good to not repeat. Diamonds on my chain just to cover up this pain. Come
No
on.
fun when the rabbit has the gun. I
It's so
love
good. It's
Oh
so
my
good,
god,
man.
nobody's ever made cartoons sound so hard.
Alrighty. Well, next up we have a pretty neat single from Jack White, Love is Selfish. I didn't think I was going to like this one, man. It started off and I was like, oh, it's this Jack White, and toes were tapping, man. It's a good one.
Same review, just minus the toes were tapping part.
Well, I mean, what do you want me to say, man?
No, yeah, I thought this one was boring. He taking me back was fantastic. I'm expecting some fucking not toe tapping. I want some foot stomping rock. I don't want like, oh yeah, this is that White Stripes song where you can't tell Meg's a part of the band type of shit. Like,
So
give me some rock.
So there is a little band out there called The Used, and they, I think, are very good at towing the line between really soft, beautiful music and crazy like heavy rock. And I think that they are able to mesh those two things into an album and make it congruent. And I don't think that Jack White is good at that. I think that he's good at both styles of music, but I don't think that he's good at putting them together in context. And maybe, actually this song got me thinking about it, because maybe that's why I've been so averse to Jack White, because maybe he's just not as good at it as Burt McCracken is. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Jack White is obviously one of the best guitarists of all time. He's a first ballot rock and roll
Easy.
Hall of Famer, but he did not write "I Caught Fire" and make every 16-year-old boy and girl cry,
Right.
and
So
also headbang at the same time. So no, he didn't do that.
yeah, I mean, I will
Right.
say the best show of my life was The Used. My wife and I got to see them play In Love and Death all the way through. I laughed, I cried, I got hit, I hit somebody. It was a good time, man. I moshed. I was sweating all
Oh,
over
you're
the
gonna get
place.
some laughs every time you see Burt live. That fucker is crazy.
Oh man, that guy's awesome. That guy's awesome. If anybody who is younger than 30 is listening to this show, there was a little show called Steven's Untitled Rock Show on a little network called Fused, which I don't even think is a thing anymore. I don't think TV network's still a thing. I don't know, but
Fossils, man.
we all watched at Taste of Chaos tour. My wife and I were actually on the phone when this happened, before we were married, but he eats dog shit on TV, on camera. This guy's crazy. So
Yeah, that sounds like him.
if you have the chance to see Burt McCracken or and the band The Used, please go do that.
I've seen some street drum corps shows that have been fucking crazy. That guy just goes out, man. He's nuts. Yeah, he's a legend. Shout out Burt McCracken.
Shout out. Alrighty. Let's talk about it, my man. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this cursed album art. Let's talk about this Kanye verse. Let's talk about The Game featuring Kanye West with Easy.
I so badly wish I did not add this song to the playlist. Like, this was one of those ones where I was like, did he see it? Is it too late? Oh my God. All right, yeah, let's talk about it. So the artwork, for those who haven't seen it, is a picture of a skinned monkey. It's fucking terrible.
It's grotesque.
One of the worst album arts or single artworks ever. I think what I'm more offended at is that Kanye kind of ruins a decent Game verse by just getting into his own personal bullshit like he always does. This beat is not one that I would really be like, oh, this is an all-time one. And Kanye and The Game have put out Wouldn't Go Far, Dreams, some of the most iconic rap songs of the 2000s together. And so when I saw their names together, I'm not stupid anymore. I'm not expecting that Kanye. Like, I'm not like, we're gonna get a hit. But I was lulled into a false sense of security by how normal Game's verse sounded. And by the time Kanye was done, he wins, you know? I'm so mad. Like, I fucking hate the guy. But he wins. He wins. You win, Kanye. You win.
All right.
You win the game.
I'm gonna go ahead and straight up disagree with you. I think that this is unironically a fantastic song. Here's what I like about it. I don't think that this is a rap song. This is a comedy song. Here's the deal. We've got two iconic artists, right? Both of who, let's be real, have fallen off their game. Sorry, The Game. I don't know if you're listening. You'll probably kill me if you were, but we've got two iconic rappers, and both are talking about wildly different things. We've got The Game talking about Crip and blood shit, and then we've got Kanye talking about raising his kids. Well, not really, but kind of the opposite of that. And those two things don't mix at all, especially for somebody who just went over to the Jesus side of things and is like, I'm a godly man. I fear God. And then we've got Game talking about putting bullets through people and then putting a fucking skinned monkey on the album art. And man, that Kanye verse is just fucking hilarious, man. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me, man?
Okay, if you're saying it's comedy, then sure. I don't think it's funny, but I won't hate on it as bad. But like, I also just don't understand the lens. It's like, he's clearly playing off the stories in the media about whatever the fuck is going on with Pete Davidson on all of this shit. And it's like, you want me to feel bad for you when you're dating Julia Fox and you're a billionaire and you're selling the worst sweatshirts of all time through the Gap. Like, I just don't give a shit anymore. Like I said, he wins, I lose. I don't know. I'm glad that you like this song. I was not expecting that. I was expecting us to ride off into the distance hating this together, but
I have to say, man, I enjoyed it because I'm not taking it seriously, I guess, because God, man, Kanye just what does he say? I God gave me that car crash so I can come back and beat Pete Davidson's ass. Is just a wild song, wild lyric, and a just crazy song about top ramen and cameras raising children.
You heard it here. Donda is Brandon's favorite album of all time.
Dude, this one verse is far better than anything on Donda. This one verse beats that entire album. I've completely switched gears. Kanye, you're the man. Just
Do you think he's ever had fish sticks?
Oh man, I think he likes them in and around his mouth. So all right,
crummy?
I got to get this skin monkey off my screen, but I really enjoyed his verse because
oh my God,
verse.
YouTuber gonna have to see the skin monkey that whole time
for that long, yeah, for sure. Anybody listening, John can't see my screen.
Thanks, Kanye.
Oh my goodness. Do you think he really wears the Yeezy boots in the shower? No, let's stop. All right, next up we have Mom Jeans with Graduating Life. This is a bit different from their other singles. It's kind of the weakest of the singles they put out so far, but I am still very much excited for the new album.
What you and I have loved about their singles so far for the new album is that they're their own band, but they clearly draw influence from the golden age of pop punk, and they have a lot of fun, and they don't take themselves too seriously in the vein of bands like Newfound Glory and even at times Good Charlotte when they were having their hits. This is a little too simple playing. And that's the only way I can describe this song.
Fair. Fair. Just whatever you do, don't try to tell Good Charlotte what punk is, because they already know.
They do. They don't want to fall in love.
Unironically, I love Good Charlotte. So, well, they're the two albums. The two albums I really like. Alrighty, next, last single of the month we had, this half of the month rather. We have Marion Hill with Gashi, awful name, with A Little Bit. This is a bit different from Marion Hill. It's still great. Her voice is just enchanting, but it's incredible as always. I liked it, but it's not my favorite Marion Hill. So
We're on the same wavelength, buddy. Like, her voice sounds great, but this is not kind of what I expect from a Marion Hill song. It doesn't have that fun bounce to it, and it doesn't have that sultry R&B-ness to it. It's just kind of a weird one.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but it was good. It's good. It's just not what I was, I guess, expecting. I saw her name and I was like, oh, and then I listened to it and I was like, oh. Alrighty, so that concludes the singles. We have a few albums to go through. Actually, a couple more albums than I actually thought were going to be dropping. I knew we were excited about a couple of them, but let's just kind of jump in. John, talk to me about Dawn FM.
Oh, man. Okay, so what was your expectation, if any, coming into this album? Did you have any for what it would be, how much you would like it?
So I'm going to answer that question in a generality. There are a lot of things in the world that media specifically, so movies, TVs, music, that try to get you to have expectations. And while we heard "Take My Breath" from this album, I try to just drown out any of the news. And so when I listen to albums, I've read 0 reviews before I write my own. I almost got tempted on the Under Oath album to read a review before I jumped into it, but I'm glad I didn't, because we'll get into that. But I try not to have expectations. I haven't watched a Marvel trailer in close to a decade. I literally, if I'm in the theater, which I haven't been in a while, but every time I've been to a theater and there's a trailer coming up for a movie I know I'm going to see, I'll close my eyes, plug my ears. I don't want to see it. I don't want expectations. And so I'm glad I didn't have any going into this. And I'm assuming you're going to tell me why.
Well, I mean, not for any like huge revelatory reason. It's just coming into it, After Hours seemed like such a pillar of pop culture success, very similar to the way Beauty Behind the Madness was. And I guess to an extent, some of the singles off Starboy, but not necessarily Starboy as an album. And so coming into it, the turnaround seemed very fast since After Hours. And I know that he started writing this during the pandemic. He was very open with the process in creating this album. And a reason that it's very pop influenced was because of all the darkness and negativity we were going through at the time. And so I was assuming he would take everything he's learned from since fully transitioning into pop and apply it in a fully thematic way once he started rolling this out. And like, unlike you, I kind of pay attention to the album trailers and the track list announcements and all of that stuff. And I was digging into it a bit, and my expectation going in was essentially I thought I would like it more than Starboy and less than After Hours. And coincidentally, that's about exactly where it landed for me, but it was a little bit more complicated than that, I suppose. And I really had to like examine why I feel the way I feel about these things. And I guess it all stems, one, because I'm a giant R&B fan. You know that. Everyone that knows me knows that. And ever since he's transitioned to pop, it's kind of like I'm having that tug of war with reality on what he is now and the version of him I like. And like when Starboy came out, it was everything I didn't want. And I still think that album is a mess structurally, but it has some genuinely great pop songs, some of the best pop songs of that decade. And I thought when we got to After Hours that we were going to get more of that. And I was so pleasantly surprised when he brought back Ilangelo, who did a bulk of the production of Trilogy, his work on Take Care, a lot of the quintessential early Weekend stuff I like. So for After Hours, there was this balance struck. For every Max Martin produced song, there was an Ilangelo produced song. He was able to satisfy the pop fan base as much as the R&B fan base in a way that he really hadn't done since Beauty Behind the Madness. And he doubled down on the 80 nostalgia aesthetic, which wasn't kind of a take it or leave it thing for me. That doesn't really make it or break it. And went all the way towards this positive pop. He brings in this fucking Avengers team of Swedish super producers, OPN, Swedish House Mafia, Max Martin. I forget the others on this album, but it's a who's who of all the top pop producers in the world. And I kind of knew going into it from Take My Breath that it was going to be his most committed pop record yet. And when he kind of revealed that Jim Carrey would be the host and the theme behind it, which for those who don't know is you're in purgatory in the form of traffic, stuck listening to this radio station. Jim Carrey plays the radio DJ in not really a way that disrupts the record. He actually kind of plays a role, which is cool to hear. But the whole thing is very difficult to wrap my mind around from somebody that's digging for more, when this album is just on its surface supposed to be a good time, I think. And so when I don't let my own like preferences get in the way, I find myself really enjoying it, even though I don't think it's perfect. So I guess I'll kind of just go through what I think of the tracks themselves a little bit briefly, and we can kind of open discussion about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
But for me, I liked the intro right off the bat. Did you like the intro?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I thought Jim Carrey did a great job. It gets you in the mood. Now, when it goes into Gasoline, which is the first real song on the album, it's kind of this off-kilter, weird REM, British like drone talk sing thing. And it completely threw me off, and I have still not really adjusted to it. And I feel like if the album didn't start on this note, I would be able to think of it as greater than it is. But this one really throws me off to start. What about you?
I'm gonna let you continue.
Okay. So from Gasoline, we go straight into exactly what I was expecting. How Do I Make You Love Me, Take My Breath, Sacrifice. These are the three songs you're going to hear on the radio for the next year and a half. These are all undeniable hits, but they're all kind of generic. And the more we get into the pop version and the farther we get from this shadowy R&B figure that he was, the less personal his music is getting. These are just very catchy, top-notch production, insanely well written and produced pop songs that obviously they're meant to break records. Like, he knows by bringing Max Martin on and OPN and these guys to make these types of songs exactly what he's going to do, and that's dominate the radio in every way, shape, and form for the foreseeable future. And then the album kind of gets a little more interesting. We get this weird interlude from Quincy Jones that does not fit within the concept of the album, but in terms of this being his most Michael Jackson-esque album, it makes sense to have Michael Jackson's most famous producer lead into the song Out of Time, which straight up sounds like it could have been on Thriller instrumentally. This is the most he's embraced the Michael Jackson-ness of his music since the Dirty Diana cover on Echoes of Silence. And it's easily one of the best songs on the album, my favorite of probably the more commercial ones. And I hope it becomes a single, because that's one I definitely wouldn't mind hearing on the radio if I'm stuck having to listen to something on there. From there we get Here We Go Again, which is kind of one I had high expectations for with Tyler on it, but Tyler really doesn't get enough time to cook. There's no percussion, but lyrically this is definitely one of his most personal songs, even though it can be melodically a little challenging at times. Then we go into Best Friends, which is kind of the classic Weekend pop sound. It's very aggressive, not necessarily 80s themed, and lyrically very old Weekend themed, kind of the dumbest one. Like, nobody wants to hear him talking about how he can't have sex with his best friend or whatever the fuck that song is about. It's a dumb one. I don't really like it, but I feel like it flows in the album pretty well, actually. Next up is my favorite song of the album by far. Is There Someone Else? Easily the most R&B song of the album. Maybe one of his best songs in the last 5 or 6 years, in my opinion. This one just hits me in all the right ways, and it was everything I was hoping for. In terms of when an artist I love gets this big, like Usher kind of did, alls I'm really looking forward to with every new album is that I at least have one song that I love out of it. And he gave me that. So shout out him. Starry Eyes kind of feels like like an outro too. Is There Someone Else? I don't really think of it as its own song.
He has a short
Every
song.
Angel, yeah, it's kind of a nothing one. Every Angel's Terrifying is more of an interlude with this kind of like the weekend doing what is that, like a monster truck rally at your local fair type TV commercial voice thing. It definitely threw me for a loop, and I like that he wasn't taking the concept too seriously, even though the album as a whole is about the concept of time and death and all, and some pretty dark shit, but told with a lighter lens. And then we finished the album off with some pop hits. Don't Break My Heart is actually maybe a sleeper hit. I really liked that one. I Heard You're Married, kind of generic. Was hoping for more from the Lil Wayne verse. And Less Than Zero, which is one of my least favorite songs on the album. I think it's just very generic. And then it wraps up with Phantom Regret by Jim Carrey, which is, I think, the best of the Jim Carrey contributions to the album and kind of brings everything to a close. So in terms of trying to score this album, I was at odds and I was kind of conflicted going back and forth the whole week. But I think personally, it's like a 7 or an 8. But I get that in terms of being a concept masterpiece, it could be an 8 or a 9. Like him and Tyler, the Creator, are the modern masters of the concept album at this point after their last two. And I'm going to appreciate it for what it is, even though musically it wasn't necessarily what I wanted. Sorry if that was long-winded.
I love it when you get long-winded. That's why I let you continue, because I didn't want to kind of
No
overshadow
worries.
you here. Because all right, look, I knew that was going to be your review because it's not the weekend that you love, and part of I guess my relationship with the weekend's music is I was late. I was late to understanding, fully getting, and appreciating the weekend. Back when he was dropping his early albums, it was not that kind of year for me. You know what I'm saying? Like it was one of those things where when he dropped Kissland in Trilogy, I was listening to a lot of Feed Me back then. And I will admit that I was, I don't want to say closed-minded, but I was closed off to anything that wasn't that at the time. All of that being said, I now retroactively appreciate those albums, but I didn't get, I guess, attached to them as much as you did because you lived those as they came out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, what I did with this is I kind of took all of his other albums out of my listening experience, and I think doing that really made me appreciate it a little more, I guess. I love the concept. It's a really great concept, man, and I think you hit the nail on the head by saying there's a lot of dark themes put in a light-hearted way, and I think that Jim Carrey is the perfect person to narrate dark themes light-hearted direction. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of his shtick, you know.
Yeah.
What I think it was Fun with Dick and Jane is a incredibly dark movie that is hilarious, which is kind of his thing. So look, man, it's easy to miss the old weekend. I'm not even like as big of an R&B fan as you are, although I'm getting there, I think. And even I wanted a little bit more from that, because you're right. Is there someone else? It's also my standout. I like that. I like that song a lot.
Fuck
Um,
yeah.
but but I think this is really atmospheric. It's really inspired. It's a really great concept, and it is undeniably the the best executed album of the last. I don't know. Tyler the Creator did drop his album
No,
last year.
I think we're saying the same thing. Yeah, like that. It's one that might not line up with our personal preferences, but you can't deny that this is an expertly produced album and definitely going to be one of the best pop albums of the year, no matter what we think.
Yeah, and I genuinely liked this, man. I think it was kind of right up my alley, and I think that's kind of where you and I are diverging. Like it's good music, and it is up my alley for right now, but it might not be as far up your alley as it was mine. So I gave it an 8, a solid 8. It's an 8. It's an 8 out of 10. My standout was Is There Someone Else? But I also really did like Here We Go Again with Tyler. I liked the Tyler verse. So
I just wish he had more time.
yeah, everything is very concise, and I have a feeling that because he had so many of these top producers producing pop songs, they probably cut a lot of music out of this album. I think maybe we'll get maybe an extended version of the album, or hopefully maybe even like an probably not. Now that I'm saying
Yeah.
it, extended version of individual songs, because I have a feeling that they cut a lot of shit out of this album. And
See, I wasn't expecting this long of an album when it was being announced. I thought we'd get maybe 8 to 10 songs. I wasn't expecting what it was. So I was a little surprised at how much work he'd been putting into this.
I think what I'm saying though is that individual songs were probably cut for time because of how much content he produced.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
true.
I have a
Yeah.
feeling that there are 6 verses in this album that weren't actually put in the album because of either time or can't press that long of an album to a vinyl. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
um,
I'll agree with you. 8 out of 10. Solid. That's a safe score for it. Is
I
there someone else I think is the undeniable standout?
Yes, I will also agree with you. Don't Break My Heart as a sleeper, and I heard You're Married is actually pretty is it's pretty catchy, man. It's a pretty good one, man.
It's catchy, but that's Lil Wayne and The Weeknd collaborating for the first time. I want a little more than catchies. You know what? The Weeknd just doesn't do like features and collaborations that well in general, if you ask me. He's very much this is my type of song, and I'm the only one that can really shine in this style of music. But I thought that this was great. I hope feature wise we get a little more diversity next album.
Fair, that is super fair. Alrighty, let's move on to a. Are you ready to move on? You good?
Yes, let's move on, buddy.
My man Bonobo put out Fragments, and let me tell you something. I am a fan of this.
I knew you would be.
His choice in vocalists, I don't know if you care, but I'm just gonna go ahead and start. His choice in vocalists and where he puts them in the album structure is just fucking perfect, and the way he chooses vocalists is probably extremely painstaking for him. He What I love about Bonobo is that he's able to produce music that's both graceful, accessible, and still kind of a bit weird. You know, like the weirdness is why I think he ran under the radar, I think, a little bit for the beginning of his career. And I think he's blown up now. I think he's got a few million monthly listeners on Spotify, which is great. But yeah, this is this is fucking great, man. The way he layers his tracks with kind of different modes of sound is, I think, one of my favorite things about this album, is because every song is a full song. You get I mean, I think the average is probably 4 minutes a song, except for Polyghost, which is, a minute and almost two. This is a fucking great album, man. This is an 8. I think my standout is Counterpart. There's just something so human about his music, especially for a dude named Bonobo. So, what were your thoughts on this one?
I thought my one sentence review of it is this is like the perfect combination of black coffee and taiko. It has a
Fucking
very interesting
beautiful.
blend to it. All the songs flow together perfectly, and nothing on the album feels out of place. I love the way he explores different aspects of house music with such like a nuanced approach. This album doesn't like reinvent the wheel necessarily, but it still feels fresh in a genre where that's usually not the case. Surprisingly, the most R&B tracks on the album, Tides and From You, are not my favorites from the album. I found myself coming back to Age of Phase the most. I really like that one.
It's a good track.
Um, as much as I'm a sucker for R&B, I'm also a sucker for some good vocal chops, and the vocal chops in that song are incredible. But Rosewood, Atomo, there's really no misses on this album. It's full of fantastic songs, and I'll definitely be revisiting this one throughout the year. I gave it a 7 out of 10, and yeah, Age of Phase was my favorite.
Atomo is a great track and a great representation of what I mean by using different modes of music. It kind of has like a bunch of different layers that don't necessarily fit well together, but he somehow makes them fit well. The piano work on this album is just gorgeous, and
Oh,
this
beautiful.
the strings in Elysian are whew, next level. So
Yes, agreed.
next level. Well, I really like this one. I'm glad you did as well. Moving on, we have Corday with From a Bird's Eye View. You and I have been anticipating this one for a while. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I something about this album feels very like 2008 in the best way. Like it's so simple. He didn't overthink doing a sophomore record. He didn't try to outdo the Lost Boy necessarily, and I think that that was to his benefit. With a few exceptions, the instrumentals he raps over all have a very classic feel to him. There's like a couple of the like the Gunna song
Super.
that I'm not necessarily stoked on, but for the most part, he has this very soulful sound that I fucking eat up. And there's way more album cut songs on here than I was expecting. I was expecting him to try and go the like try the Joey Badass thing, trying to force these bangers. But like I found my favorite moments on the albums are like just the most random ones where he's kind of just talking about his life, Mama's Hood, Want From Me, Coach Carter, Westlake High. They're just the way he tells his story is just so interesting to me. And I think for somebody only what 24 years old, that he has just such a clarity about life that's just mind blowing to me because of how fucking lost I am still at 35 years old. I This album isn't really themed. He kind of has his brother who's in jail rap the intro, which I thought was a pretty cool touch. I've been a big fan of the jail rapped. I've been a big fan of the jail rapped verse via phone since the Usher Confessions Part 2 remix. I don't know if you remember that, but they
Oh
did one
man.
on there. Kanye's on that remix too. But yeah, I thought this was great. The standout like singles that he released, Super and Sinister, seem like they're going to be the more bangery type songs. I'm sure the Gunna one's going to be popular because I know he's really popular. But I feel like this album is best when it's actually away from the hits. Chronicles, beautiful verse by her. I don't
Yep.
care for the Little Dirk verse at all. And then the song I was most anticipating, and is actually my favorite on the album, is Champagne Glasses, Corday and Freddie Gibbz. Once you get past Freddie Gibbs's IBS obsessed bars to start, it's actually a pretty good verse. Once he gets into second gear, it's really fucking good. You sent me a little screen grab from Reddit about some people talking about how he talked about being shitted on or you can't shit on him like 3 times to open this verse as he's kind of finding his flow. And somebody else was quick to point out Little Wayne does that all the time and actually does that on this album as well. And I thought that was a fucking brilliant note, but it's true. And honestly, like it bugged me the first time I played the song, but I don't really hear it anymore. However, what I will note is when the track list for this album was released, Nas was a part of this song and he's not on it. And there's been no explanation as to why. And I don't think it necessarily makes it not a classic song. It very much is. Stevie Wonder on the harmonica outro is fantastic, but that was like song of the decade potential on paper. Instead, we got a really good song off of a really good album. But yeah, I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Champagne Glasses is my favorite. How'd you feel about it?
So, a great review. I had listened to the Lost Boy album in preparation. I listened to it last month. I listened to it again
It's a 10, bro.
before this one dropped. It's really good. This album is
Say
also
it.
really
Say
good.
it's a 10.
It's all right. So this album is still really good. I don't think it's a 10. I didn't write my review down, so I couldn't.
Instead of writing your review, write the things that you would do differently about it, and then you'll realize nothing.
Fair. All right, that's fair. I think off the top of my head, it's a 9. I don't think it's a 10 because I think
no,
10,
I'll give you that.
10
I'll
out of
give you that.
10 is
It's not Good Kid, Mad City. I'll give you. There's levels.
See, it's definitely very good though. This album's really good too. I actually like how hard he tries. I had listened to the album and then I jumped on. Like I said earlier, I don't read album reviews before I listen to the album, and so I don't read other people's thoughts before I write my own down. And so I wrote my thoughts down, and then I jumped onto Reddit to see what everybody was talking about. What's all the hubbub about? Well, everybody was kind of clowning on him, thinking that he uses big words just to use big words, and that he tries too hard. And fuck you, dude. I really like how hard he tries. At least he's fucking trying. And I really like that he tries to increase everybody's vocabulary a little bit or use a kind of different vernacular, and he doesn't throw a bunch of fucking auto-tune on his shit, you know? I think obviously that turns people off a little bit that he tries too hard, but at least you can kind of tell he's working hard on his craft. So I think, like you said, Super and Sinister, I think those are the hype songs. And I honestly think that this album could have done without those songs, only because I don't think that they fit as well into where this album should have been, or where this album could have been. I think Her sounds great on Chronicles. I think Champagne Glasses is great, but what is it with people putting Stevie Wonder on their fucking songs and not letting this guy play piano or sing? He's playing the fucking harmonica, bro. I didn't hear any Stevie Wonder in here. That could have been any fucking dude playing the harmonica, and then they just paid Stevie Wonder. And that just kind of, I don't know, that rubs me the wrong way. And obviously not having Nas on here. All right, let's talk about that Eminem verse for a second. The Eminem feature is fucking weird. Corday kind of let him run wild too, which on paper, that should have been just a fucking strike down the middle. You know, it should have been an ace on the serve. But like fucking didn't know how to rap over that beat or something. Like I don't know, man.
Are you factoring these songs into your score? Because those are like bonus tracks, I think. Parables Remix and Gifted aren't necessarily part of the album, but they were included with the release, so I do get it.
No, I'm actually not, because I did take that into account, but I needed to touch on the Eminem verse, because what the fuck was that?
That's what I've said about every Eminem verse for like 12 years.
I don't know, man. I think Kamikaze was great. I think the album he put out after that, the one with Juice WRLD on it, was pretty good. I think that he is a bad feature right now, because I think that he needs his own production team to produce his. I really think the issue was that maybe he didn't hear the beat or something as he was rapping, and he was like, I'll just record this in the studio, because I don't know, it sounds like something Eminem would do. I don't fucking know.
I'm not an Eminem fan.
I think that I am, but I think that this album is right on the cusp of greatness. I think that he missed the mark a little bit from The Lost Boy, which is a great album, but I did enjoy this, and I probably will revisit it. I gave it a 7. My standout is actually Jean-Michel.
Interesting. Yeah, that dude, honestly, I feel like it's pretty much a no skips album. So any song could have been your favorite. But I agree with you, and well said about almost everything you said there. It was dead on. Exactly where he's at. And I feel like what you said about how this album could have done without Super or Sinister, I think it needed songs in those spots, but it didn't necessarily need these songs. Like you said, it didn't hit the mark the Lost Boy hit. But the reason the Lost Boy also hit the mark beyond really just being a very solid album top to bottom is it had two very big hits with Have Mercy and RNP featuring Anderson .Paak. This
Yeah.
album doesn't have that undeniable banger song. Like it's got a bunch of really good songs, a couple good bangers, but I feel like Super could have been really good. I just feel like lyrically he kind of fumbled that one. Like nobody cares if you're texting the CEO of Twitter. Like nobody cares. And the Sinister beat's really good, but I feel like he should have brought Anderson .Paak back for that one instead of Lil Wayne. I feel like Anderson would have actually probably added a lot to a few of these songs, but
I say,
another
why
thing
not both?
yeah. Why not? Before we move on, one other thing you said that I wanted to touch on that you reminded me of is how hard he's trying. Dude did a Tiny Desk, can't sing a fucking lick, but he does not give a shit. Like he's just going purely off the vibe and the energy, and it's so fun to watch. Like I
I
don't
love
get why
that.
people try to clown people who are clearly having a lot of fun with their life, which he clearly is.
Yeah, no, I love how hard he tries. I think that that's endearing.
All right. So
Cool.
we've both been pretty much on the same page, within one score of each other on all of these.
Except for corn. All right. Let's. I just kind of want to have a conversation about this one. This is FKA Twigs Capri Songs. It's a mixtape or not an album. I don't know. It's an album. They're all albums.
Mixtape.
They're all albums. They're all projects. Isn't that what we said?
Yes, they're all projects.
So I don't really have much to say, to be honest with you. It's fun. It has lots of energy, and it's objectively good. I just don't think it's for me.
All right, I'm going to need 10 more minutes from you on FKA Twigs Capri Songs.
Look, man, I've seen the name 1,000 times. I've never dived into her music, and honestly, I went into this with zero expectations because I don't think I had ever heard any of her music, besides some of the hits. Obviously, I've heard those, but Honda is just kind of all over the place. It's
Oh, you don't like Honda?
it's a weird setup for an album.
I'll save you. Okay, hold on. I'll jump in. I'll jump in. So, yeah, I fully anticipated that to be your reaction. And much like you, or actually maybe to your surprise, I've never listened to a full FKA Twigs project before this. But I liked Tears in the Club, so I figured this would be kind of an interesting project to digest together. I like the structure she went for on the mixtape. It's kind of like loosely stitched together with a lot of interludes, gives you that vibe of like kind of sitting on the floor with somebody and they're just playing you a bunch of random songs, I guess. Musically, all over the place. If you like one song on here, you're probably not going to like another because none of them sound the same. And I like the three that I would say fall on the more trap R&B spectrum, which is Ride the Dragon, Tears in the Club, and Oh My Love. And the Light Beamers kind of has like a decent lo-fi vibe to it. Fantastic Georgia Smith guest verse on her song Darjeeling, which I'm surprised you did not call out because I know that's one of your girls in R&B. Yeah, overall, not one I imagine I'll revisit after this month, but I think she does have an interesting combination of like experimental bedroom pop and avant-garde R&B. It's a decent album, just not for me either. It's probably like a 5 or a 6 for me.
I gave it a 5. Tears in the Club. That's my standout. Yeah, Georgia Smith did kill it. I wrote it down, but it was on the other page. So
excuses.
I love me some Georgia Smith. Alrighty.
So going back to Capri Songs.
Alrighty, moving right along here, we have one of our most anticipated drops of the year, and we actually waited a long time for this, and I dropped a little hint earlier, and I'm just going to kind of go back to it, man. We got 4 out of 10 songs as fucking singles. That is absolutely unacceptable under oath, and I did not incorporate that into my score, but that is just awful of you. If you're going to drop 4 singles, drop 12 songs at least. Don't give me...
We got 5.
Oh, we got 5. Fuck, dude. We got half the album as singles. It's out of this fucking world. Get out of here, man. That is not the way to do that. Especially when didn't they drop the first one in like August or something like that? Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I didn't incorporate that into my score, but at 38 minutes, this is 38 minutes of fucking high octane, man. Um, this is fucking great, man. This album rocks. Both Aaron and Spencer really stretched their vocal limits on this album, which I really like. I love the structure of the album. I think I think Spencer really hit new heights and new lows with his vocals on this one. We've got some really good we've got some really good Spencer songs on here. Yeah, this is great. I'm going to be revisiting this album throughout the year. It's going on my albums of the year list, even though it's only 10 songs and 38 minutes long. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm giving it a 9. My standout was Pneumonia.
Oh, wow. Okay. I share and echo your frustrations about the rollout of this album because I would have been blown away by some of these moments as surprises, especially like the end of Pneumonia, or like there's some really big moments they didn't need to reveal prior to the album coming out.
It's rollouts like this that make me not even want to listen to singles, like I don't watch movie trailers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Not great for music podcasting, but that's fair. I think what you and I speculated a few months ago ended up being kind of what we got. This is their best album since Define the Great Line. I feel like it's so fucking good to just hear them refreshed and like inspired again. And clearly, I wouldn't say this music is fun, but clearly like just in a good zone creatively with their writing. And they modernized their sound a little bit, you know. They took a little from the modern Bring Me the Horizon playbook, which I'm not going to knock them for. That's kind of just the modern rock playbook, and they have to conform to it a little bit, but they do it their way, you know. Yeah. They keep a lot of their ambient programming elements. They even lean into it a little more on songs like I'm Pretty Sure I'm Out of Luck, which was one of my favorite moments on the album because it was like, oh, I'm listening to Under Oath. Like this feels like Under Oath again. Like, and I haven't felt that off any of their releases since Define the Great Line, even though there's some great moments on Lost in the Sound of Separation. And yeah, I agree. Spencer and Aaron, this might be them hitting new highs, but they're just, I don't know if they're the best, but they are my favorite singer-screamer combo ever. Like, there's something about the combination of them when they're both firing on all cylinders that's just incredible. I give this one
trade-off.
Yeah, no, I'm a sucker for trade-off vocals, man, and we get tons of it. Spencer surprisingly did a good job carrying vocals when Aaron wasn't in the band, and I think that time has made him a better vocalist all around, and that reflects a little bit in this. But musically, this is, man, I was like nervous that it was going to be a prog metal album that's too long and takes itself too seriously. And we got the complete opposite.
Yep.
It's fucking incredible. I gave this one an 8 out of 10. Either Hallelujah or I'm Pretty Sure are my favorites, but there's really not a miss on here. It's a perfectly crafted album and blew me away.
There is not a miss
more than
on
I was
this.
expecting.
You're right. There's no skips on this, and I'm going to be revisiting this basically all throughout the year. I do want to touch on the fact that it sounds like Under Oath. It sounds like Under Oath again, which I love. So, yeah, man. I think this hit it. So. Let's see here. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got, man. Great album. Thank you, Under Oath. Great way to start the year.
Yes. Fucking fantastic. Love it.
Another great way to start the year. We've got a new Coda album and some drama that came with it that I didn't hear about because I'm not on the socials and I don't follow these people. And I had to hear about it on his album, which I actually thought was kind of a cool experience, being like, the fuck is he talking about? I'm bitter. Yeah, man. All right. So for it's a Coda album. I fucking love it. It is just, he's an incredible lyricist. I am constantly impressed by how poignant, relatable, and personal his music is. There's artists that have like really high output rates, you know. Then there's Code of the Friend, where basically everything he puts out is a banger. I think I only dislike 2 of his songs, like in total. Short album, as is tradition for the Lyrics to Go projects, but yeah, I really like this one. I actually gave this one an 8 out of 10, and I think For Troubled Boys is my favorite. Did you hear about any of the drama that was happening?
I did not. Educate me, please.
So Bitter, he talks about it a little bit. I guess he was accused of sexual harassment. Or sexual assault, one of those. And he talks about on Bitter, basically he has proof, this and that. It's basically just a he said, she said. But I don't know, man. It's interesting because judging from his music, I don't know the dude personally, but judging from his music, that's kind of not his lane. Although I could be wrong, you know. It's that's the drama. There are people accusing him of things, and he's openly talking about it.
I thought he was just a good storyteller in rap. I didn't know it was like an actual story, but that's
it's a real thing. Because when I heard the song, I was like, "The fuck is he talking about?" And so I googled it. I googled "Code of the Friend," and it came up. There's a bunch of.
It is one of those that's like too specific to not be true type of things, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have a lot of notes on this one, but in general, I agree with you. Great album. Always happy to see him. Can I be a little nitpicky with this?
Please.
Okay, so personal preference, not quite as good as Volume 1 or 2, but it's a really solid collection of songs. What we love about him is consistency, but consistency can be repetitive. That doesn't bug me personally, but the guy is constantly rapping about growth. So I want to hear some growth in his music. I'll take the same song over and over and over again, but I feel like he can grow into something better than we've seen. Like, I mean, I don't even know what a comparison would be because he's already operating on such a unique high output and high consistency level. But like, this one, these Lyrics to Go are clearly always just like a collection of loose songs. And we've gotten, I think 2 of these came out before, Scapegoat and Dear Fear. And if you look at like the collection of Lyrics to Go previous, they're all like just minute and a half loosies. And on this one, as an album, he throws like Scapegoat and Dear Fear on here.
Yep. And
these feel like album ready songs. And as a result, kind of make the rest of the songs feel off balance or almost demo like in comparison.
That's
so
fair.
As a listening experience, it's a little uneven, even though what I'm hearing is all really good. So I gave this one a 7. Dear Fear was my favorite. I really like that building narrative throughout the song from verse to verse.
It's a good
and
one.
I think when he has over 3 minutes to work, he can really do some good.
Yeah, I think he's a great writer. So I agree with you. I'd like to see some growth, even though kind of talking about growth is him trying to manifest it into his life. We'll see how all that works.
Yeah, time will tell. I mean,
Yes,
we're going to get a new album or song next month, so we'll
definitely,
see.
Definitely. But yeah, man, look up a little bit of that drama. Alrighty, moving on. We have I wasn't expecting this to drop, but it did, and oh boy, am I happy. We've got Recondite with his album Tom. Taum. I am a big fan of this, John. I'm sure you already assumed.
I did, and I can't remember which song of his we'd already reviewed last month. It might have been Resilient. I know we reviewed one of them. Naif, okay. Did you want to vent it all on this one first?
Sure,
Sounds
man.
Like
I mean,
you're very excited about it.
So last year we had that Bicep album Isles, and God, that was just hit. Kind of all of my boxes. It's weird. It works within the bounds of the genre. It crosses the boundaries, but then pulls itself back. And I think that this is just the complete same, except for it's on the complete opposite end of the spectrum of that kind of dance music. Whereas Bicep Isles was kind of fun and kind of groovy, and this is just dark, deep dance floor bangers. Except we get some rules broken, where we have some interesting time signatures for a house musician, and then we have and then we have some that kind of fall within that 4/4. And yeah, man, I don't know, man. It's danceable, it's introspective, it's bassy, and it utilizes a lot of my favorite instruments. We get that 909 bass line in Resilient. We get the 303 in Torpid. Not much more to say, man. This is just kind of right up my fucking alley. This is a 9 for me. This hits the spot.
My classic John comparison for this one will be, this sounds like if Giselle Fulstein was on Mousetrap Records.
Hey, I like that.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so I'm just gonna be completely honest about this one. As an album, it struggles to keep my attention. I think he makes really good music, but when I listen to the album front to back, for some reason it gets a little monotonous to me. I think when it's working well. Like the first three songs flow together so well, but then it kind of just turns into like, I don't know. I get lost in my own head in it. Like I don't focus on the music when I'm listening to it. And maybe that's what it's designed for a little bit, but yeah, I just couldn't connect with this one in that way. I have it at a 6 right now. Resilient was my standout, but I do have it still on my rotation. So I'm not done giving it a chance, but it definitely didn't hit me the way it hit you to start.
I can see that. I listened to this album 3 times. Each time I was kind of doing something. I think this kind of music is conducive to that, where you can actively listen to it while you're, cause I grocery shopping, monotonous busy work at work, or like doing the dishes, I think are kind of where I listen to this album. And I'm a big fan of that because I kind of get to actively listen while I'm doing something. I think if you're just sitting down, like just kind of sitting down listening to it, you're just gonna, it could kind of lull you. I can see that. I do highly recommend you revisit it, and you revisit that score. But I'm not you. My standouts were I couldn't decide between two of them: Sweet Pain or Tom, Taum.
It's a good finale.
Yeah, it's a great finale, man. That kind of progressive layering, percussion, kind of fucking awesomeness is, God, it's right up my alley.
So it's safe to say we'll be talking about this one again later this year.
Probably. We'll see what
We'll
else comes
see.
out. We'll see what else
We'll
comes out.
see.
All right, last album of the month. We have an album that I was surprised that you didn't put on and I had to throw on. We've got Earl Sweatshirt with Sick.
I honestly I think I threw like 5 albums on. I was like, there can't possibly be any that I missed, right? Like that was a crazy drop last Friday.
Oh
on the
yeah.
14th.
Oh yeah. Fucking Spotify's like, psych. You got another
Everything except the Weekend album all dropped that one night, which is just insane.
one. Yep.
Yeah, so I was very like still apprehensive a bit going into this one. We'd heard 2010, I think, as a single.
Yep, that's the only
And
one
he
we
might have
heard.
released one other. I think he released Titanic as a single, but it was before we got even to speak. So we ended up covering the album first. I didn't know what to expect based on 2010. I knew that I liked that song more than I'd liked a lot of his previous work that I'd heard, and I was able to connect to the lyrics a little bit more, but musically it was still a little off of what I normally find myself listening to. This album is, it feels like you're kind of just next to a guy on the bus and you're hearing him like essentially, no, I don't mean it in a bad way. It's like the Notebook thing. Like these are just like the way he rhymes, it just feels like stuff you would write in your notebook, like just one line. And the way he stitches them together in this just bizarre way that somehow works isn't something I can really understand or even define or articulate as you're trying to hear me try.
Right.
But I think this might be his most accessible album for people like you and me, which I don't know what his fan base, like core fan base, would think about that. But I feel like this is one of those moments where I realize I like pop rap more than I like rap, because this is real rap. And this is bar for bar just incredible. And songs like Tabula Rasa are just fucking top-notch songs. The writing is insane. The production is iconic right off the bat. And both of them are seemingly trying to outdo each other with who can do the best verse on that song. And it's just terrific. Vision's the same way. I feel like he works really good when somebody else is on the track with him for a little bit of diversity, because when it's just him rhyming, like I said, it's just like you're listening to a guy say these lines, and sometimes you'd be like, oh, that was a sick fucking line. But I'm never really like, I really liked that song, other than like Tabula Rasa, which is my favorite from this. So while I do recognize his immense talent, I still can't connect with it. I gave this one a 6 out of 10.
I am so glad that you said all of those things that you just said, sir. I wrote down some bullet points. I think that he has a very interesting and hard to wrap my head around kind of pentameter, right? I
Hmm.
also think that his rhyming needs a little bit of work. He's a good rapper for sure, but he's rhyming things that like don't really rhyme, but like and like I can understand one or two of those on an album, but it's like every line, man, and it's like okay, you're creative with your rhymes, but it's just like if it doesn't really rhyme, is it a rhyme? I think that his lyricism is just kind of weak, man. I think that he just kind of raps shit to rap shit. I think that the production on this album is top notch. I think that he sounds like he has marbles in his mouth sometimes, which is difficult to enjoy. But I do think that as a project, as a piece of music, it is enjoyable to listen to. I'm unsure why there's so much hype surrounding him. I probably won't revisit it, but I think that I can recognize that there is some talent. But it's not for me, man. It's not my jam. I actually threw it on. I don't follow Earl Sweatshirt. I saw a bunch of hype on it on I think it was some hip hop thing that I get emails from. It's from Reddit. I saw a bunch of people talking about that upon drop, and look, man, like it's fine, but it's not my jam. I I gave it a 5. It's not my jam.
Yeah, we're about the same on it. I feel like you and I both know that this is going to be talked about and recognized on a bunch of publications as one of the best rap albums of the year. And it's one that you and I both gave a chance to and will probably never listen to again. It's interesting the way we all hear things, the same thing so differently, you know?
Yeah. And fuck, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're both wrong. Maybe it's another J. Cole situation where last year we kind of dropped it and then listened to it again and we're like, hey, actually, this is kind of good. So maybe we will revisit it again, but I'm going to give it a month because it kind of rubbed me the wrong way the first 3 times I listened to it. Because I did listen to it 3 times because I was like, okay, so I'm missing.
Yeah,
I've
same.
got to be missing something, right? Because I didn't like it at all on the first listen. In fact, on my first listen, that's when I wrote down weak rhyming. That was my first bullet point because I was like, this motherfucker is not even rhyming anything together. Like, these things don't rhyme at all. And then my second listen, I was like, well, maybe they do. Maybe I can. And then the third, I was like, that's what he's trying to do. You know what I'm saying? It's just not my fucking
Hmm.
jam. So we'll see. Maybe I'll revisit it again in a month. Maybe I won't. Maybe the world is wrong, or maybe it's the kids that are wrong.
We're going to talk about Tower 7 now. Do you want me to give you like 30 minutes on Tower 7?
Give me 27. Go.
All right. Well, that's our show for the month, or I guess half month. We'll
Half
be
month,
probably
yeah.
doing another one in
I'm
about 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, I'm looking at the releases for today, and we've got a lot of things. So I'm gonna go ahead and archive the playlist as we speak, and then start throwing some shit onto the playlist because this was a good half month, and I think we have 2 Fridays left, right? Today and next
Yes.
Friday. So yeah, we did half the month, and
And people, if you're listening, search Brandon's Face on Spotify. We have to be the only playlist called Brandon's Face on
we
Spotify.
are the only playlist on
Follow
Spotify.
along. You can find me at Kill It Dead, Instagram or Twitter. We're working on getting our Brandon's Face stuff all set up, but hit us up.
Hit us up. Let me know what let me know what Coachella sets you want me to record
Oh,
because they
and
took that off.
music by Anthony Reeder. Shout out
Yes.
Anthony Reeder.
Shout
Thank
out to
you.
Anthony. Thank you so much, my man. Alrighty. Peace.
Peace.